Hi guys, this is Jesse coming at you again from TPA Sports. We're going to continue on our deadlift series today and talk about actually setting up for a conventional deadlift. So hopefully by this point now, we've worked on some of the mobility drills and starting variations that have kind of brought us to a point now that we can successfully achieve a traditional deadlift. So first off, from a starting point of view, when we approach the bar, the biggest thing we want to focus on here is the deadlift being a ground-up based drill. So obviously the start position is super crucial for our setup, and typically what we'll see is people, when they do start the deadlift off, is they'll just kind of step up to the bar and just drop, right? We've talked a lot about the actual hinge component of the deadlift and what we're looking for. So before the athlete even thinks about going down for the bar, we want to make sure we're cueing them to actually focus on getting the hips back, clearing the hips before we drop down. Now, the big components I'm looking for when I'm coaching this one is adequate movement at the ankles, the hips, and really focus on opening up that T-spine. So when we grab the bar, we want to kind of cue the athlete to grab the bar and basically pull them down. So we're actually getting that extension through the spine. Now, one of the cues I like to use the best in this one here is kind of picture the arms like a big rope. So when they hit that bottom position, we want to try and have them pick up all the slack in the arms, make sure we're creating tension through our spine before we go to lift. So the big thing, and this is typical what we'll see, is people drop down and try and start in that flex arm position. We want to try and cue them to get themselves up and try and get that little bit of tension into the bar. So from here, now we can focus on gaining tension, stiffening up the upper back, driving through with the hips, and finishing tall. Now from the top position, just as important here, we want to focus on cueing the athlete to hinge, and almost like we're trying to touch that back wall behind us, clear, and show good control back down to that bottom position. Obviously, other things that might play a bit of a role in here are the athlete's shoes. I'm wearing a pair of pretty flat-soled shoes, but sometimes you'll see that little bit of a heel lift can also cause that little bit of anterior movement with the knees. So that's one kind of precaution we want to look at when we are deadlifting. If we still aren't kind of at the point yet where deadlifting is going to be the drill of choice for us, I'll show a couple other variations that we like to use, starting with the trap bar deadlift. The big difference with the trap bar deadlift to, say, a conventional deadlift is just the amount of mobility that's actually used to get down to that position. We think about the thoracic extension that's needed to actually get yourself over that bar. The side handles on a trap bar deadlift obviously allow us to get to that position a little more freely. So in this one here, we're basically using the same cues. We want to make sure that the athlete isn't thinking this drill like a squat, where they're just dropping into that bottom position. Again, we want to cue those hips getting back, dropping through that spine, and same thing. Really focus on pulling up through the bar to start. You almost hear that bar click a little bit, and then we want to really focus on driving our weight through those heels, finding extension through the hips, and then working on that good solid hip hinge on the way back down. So this is kind of something that we would use in, say, the first phase of training with most of our athletes to kind of get them adapted to that kind of ground up patterning with our deadlifts. A good kind of other variation we like to use here a lot, especially with people with hip mobility, is a sumo squat deadlift. So basically the difference between this one here is we're able to have the athlete widen up a little bit, so the actual lever length shortens up, and the amount of depth needed to achieve the drill is a little bit shorter for them. So the big thing on this one again is when we hit that bottom position, basically think of a deadlift from the traditional sense with the feet in narrow, hands out wide. We're basically just reversing the pattern. So the feet are going to be a little bit wider out. We can afford to have the toes V'd out a little bit to open the hips up. From here, we can use either, again, an overhand or over-under grip. We want to cue that athlete, again, as they hit that bottom position, to pull themselves down towards the bar, keeping the chest tall, lengthening up that upper back and stiffening up, take up the slack on the bar, and follow through with those hips. Now, a big cue again with these guys, we want to focus on, again, those hips hinging back off the start, and then following through to a nice, safe downward position. From a spine point of view, guys, the biggest thing with any of the deadlift variations that we show is neutral spine is always taking precedent. If they can't show that good kind of spinal stability, we're obviously going to regress them to a drill that we can maintain that position. Hopefully these drills help you guys out and you guys start using them into your own programming.